Welcome to another Beat Fridge video. Today we are going to talk about Massive, Native Instruments Massive. Or should I say Native Instruments Massive? It is a German program, you know. I don't even know if they hire a bunch of Asian guys to do it or Americans. How much racism can I reveal in the beginning of this intro is really the question at hand here. What I'm going to do is give you a broad overarching view of the different modular components within Massive, and then come back and try to go in depth within the various sections. And then once you do that, you can kind of see it all come together. So just starting right off in the oscillator section, there's 3 independent oscillators, 1, 2, 3. All have deliferent, which is a new word that I just made up. What would that even be a combination of? All have different waves that you can select from, and they break them up into various categories. Basic, which I think you should probably try to utilize the most if you really want to approach stuff like, hey, I know what I'm doing. But then the best sounds kind of just come from messing around with these various analog, electric, digital hybrid waveforms. And you basically load one up and just mess around with the different parameters and see what you get. There's more to it, and there's specific stuff that you can do here. Okay. But moving on. The modulation oscillators are basically various ways that you can affect or modulate, change your initial oscillators. Your oscillators, I didn't even mention this. This is just where you get your basic bass sound. So your very basic sound wave. And of course, and then you take it through the rest and affect it. So for example, you can make this a little bit more complex by adding another wave that's 1 octave above. Turn it down a little bit to blend it in more smoothly to make it sound homogeneous. And then come down, phase modulate. Okay. Then if we want, we have a little noise amp here where we can send in noise to basically just, like it says right here, color your sound, kind of add a little bit of randomness. That's basically what noise is, depending on what you select. Okay, so white noise, I believe, is every sound within the frequencies that we can hear. So 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. We'll talk about that more in depth as we go. See, there's so much. Like, once you go into the rabbit hole, you can just keep going, and you're just like, damn, man, the fucking government, bro. But anyway, so that's the noise section, basically. Oh, I didn't mention here. Filter 1, filter 2. Here. Okay, so you can do that as well. So you can actually direct, say, I want to send oscillator 1 and 2 to filter 1, 3 to filter 2, the noise to filter 2 as well, and then do a mix of those. Okay, so we should go to the filters next, actually, because the filters, I would say, after just the basic waves themselves, the waves from the wavetables in Massive, are the most fundamental, most powerful, most probably recognizable to our ear because they've been around the longest, ways to shape your sounds in a simple and elegant way. So what is a filter? Think of a coffee filter or a cigarette filter. You pour in coffee, water, The filter holds back the things you don't want, the larger particles of coffee, but lets water and I'm sure some smaller particles of coffee. That's why it turns brown and whatnot through. You're filtering out the grounds. So when you send an audio signal through an audio filter, you're filtering out components of the sound. What components can you filter out? Pretty much just frequency. And I guess the amplitude of those frequencies, so you can boost or cut. Basically, by cutting the ones around it, you're boosting it. It's hard to say if it's additive or subtractive. Anyway, I'm digressing a little too much here. Just to give an example, here's a low pass filter. So the cutoff point basically says, all right, everything below this frequency, which is the cutoff, I'm going to allow to pass through. The lower frequencies pass through, low pass filter. It could also be called a high cut filter. You're cutting off the highs. All right, but I'm going, I can't go into too much depth because I'm trying to make it under 10 minutes. And also, I know everyone's attention span. You're probably all gone by now, watching the new Bieber video or whatever, trying to jack his swag. All right, then you've got inserts, which is basically another chance to add effects. We should mention the routing really quickly because here you can actually change, how things are routed and say, okay, I want to put this insert here after filter 2 or after filters 1 and 2 or before filter 1 or way down here on the feedback, which I rarely do, so I should try that more. Macro control section basically gives you a chance to assign these controls and then put them here, control it with 1. The LFOs. Okay, you're all familiar with this now. I think this is what, these wobbles put massive on the map because it's really easy. Envelopes, which are very interesting when you start to get into, wow, like all sounds have underlying things in common. A sound has an attack, a decay, a sustain, release. It has aspects of it that are measurable so that once you understand one sound, parameters of a sound, you can compare it to another sound and say, okay, well, here's something with a quick attack. That sound has a quick attack. That was too slow to even hear. Okay, so effects, again, kind of similar to an insert. At that point, I don't know if either are redundant, but I'm sure that there's a good technical reason to have an effects section and an insert section. Probably it has to do with routing. Effects are basically boom here by the end. So those are like your final touches with your EQ, which of course is control over frequencies, that high pitch, low pitch element of sound. Oscillator section, you can, pitch bend is pretty basic, right? You can modify. You can set the parameter, say, do I want it to go up 1 octave, 2, few semitones, 2 semitones down. add a tube amp. Okay, so that's basically what we're working with. I don't know how much time I took here, but I really am going to kind of study the program and or restudy it or, hyper analyze it, really get in depth with it myself and try to come up with the best language that I can to communicate it to you guys and also for myself so I can really understand exactly each parameter. Little module by module, oscillators, modulation oscillators, maybe noise and feedback together, everything else, filters in depth. I might even go filter by filter, which would be cray. I kind of want to run some of the waves through an oscilloscope because I've done it for myself because I click it and I go, what exactly is vulgar? I don't know what that means. What kind of wave is that? So you run it through an oscilloscope, you look at it and go, oh. But anyway, thanks for checking in. I hope to have more up soon. Have a nice day.